Welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for investing an hour with me today. I want to first off say thank you. This is Being a part of Keller Williams has been very, very life changing for me and for my family. You guys are a part of that, and I appreciate all of the work that you're doing with your buyers and with your sellers. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing in sharing the Keller Williams value proposition with others. And my intention is to um, help you grow however you want to grow, right? Whether you want to be a mega agent, or you want to be a mega recruiter, or you want to be whatever you want to be. My goal is to help you get there. um, and I have been in this business for about 15 and a half years. In a few days will be my 10-year anniversary with Keller Williams. I feel like I've seen this business in a lot of different the great markets, the lousy markets, and I've sat in a number of seats, from the Agent Leadership Council seat to the team leader seat. I'm now the productivity coach of the Roswell KW Market Center, and have a team with a full-time assistant and kind of who was a buyer's agent and is now basically doing everything. And I've spent a considerable amount of time working the profit share opportunity, and I'm very, very grateful for everything this company has offered me, and I'm very, very grateful for for your participation. And I'm hopeful that this company is having just as much of an impact on you as it is had on me, and will continue to be that way. Um, let's do a quick little meet and greet, if you will. Barbara, would you like to start and tell Michelle who you are? I don't think we've actually ever met face to face before. I So tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Sure, Bill. Thank you for having us. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing well, Barbara. How are you?
I'm doing very great. Thank you. Um, Bill, Michelle, I was in corporate America for many, many years. I retired from corp, and then I went back to the same company, AT&T, and did uh, a consultant role for several years. So I was in the business world for many years. I'm a graduate. I actually have on my Agnes Scott T-shirt today. I didn't realize that, but I was a graduate of Agnes Scott College, and I work in the Decatur Center, which is near the college, and we have a wonderful market center there. So I've enjoyed that. I've been in the real estate business back the second time now since early last year. So I haven't been back very long, but back in the 80s, I was in real estate. I had a small children, and with two small children, it was very difficult at that time with very little support from a technical perspective
Mhm.
to real estate. I decided that it was best for me to stay in corporate America, benefits and things such as that, and it worked out well for me. Um, and I did some real estate during that time. And then in the 80s, we also did real estate investments, even though I wasn't actively a real estate agent. So now I'm back. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy my team. I love working with everyone. And now that I'm sort of into my third act, if you will, I'm really looking at doing recruiting, which makes more sense for me, and the amount of work and time and energy I wish to put into this. I'm really looking to help other agents set themselves up so that they can also do profit share and earn residual income going forward for their families and for themselves. That's what
Beautiful.
I'm really focusing on right now. COVID-19 has, of course, changed the lives of everyone. And right now, I'm really focusing on selling for sellers, not so much buyers, because I'm not at the point where I really feel like I need out there in the midst of all of things that are going on. So once things change and we get vaccine and things, we're able to really safely open up. In my mind, I feel like I want to change some things to be a little bit more active from perhaps the buyer and seller side. But right now, I'm focusing on sellers, and so that
Beautiful.
sort of sums me up.
Beautiful. Well, welcome. I'm super grateful for all of your
Thank you.
activity, whether, like I said, whether it be buyers and sellers, helping buyers and sellers, and certainly your efforts on the recruiting side. Michelle, why don't you go next?
Well, Barbara, I have only been a licensed realtor for around 2 years now. And I do have a background. I guess, we have our unique value proposition when we can say, I've been in the industry for a long, long time. But my husband and I have been married for almost 30 years, and we've moved, nearly 20 times from state to state and so forth. So it was a little bit more difficult for me to be able to establish a career in real estate earlier, even though I did have the desire to. When I moved to Georgia, I think like 12 years ago, somewhere around there. You lose track of time sometimes. But I ended up working with Cobb County, and I did work in special education, severe and profound, EBD, those, with a lot of one-on-one students. And it got to the point where my children were then old enough for me to not have to be there every moment. When I got to that point, I decided to pursue, truly what I wanted to do, which was, being a realtor full time. And so, I met Bill, and Keller Williams seemed extremely interesting to me. So I did, get on board. And like you, I am not presently working very strongly as a realtor per se during this pandemic, because I am high risk. And so, I really do appreciate this opportunity to receive passive income through recruitment, because I have to admit, the 21st of the month rolls around every month, and that's a pretty nice check
I know
for.
you've been a superstar. Michelle, do you mind sharing like what a typical check looks like for you now, or maybe what your year-to-date number is, if you know it offhand?
To be honest with you, I never pay attention to that sort of thing. I don't know what my year to date is, but I do average somewhere around 1,800. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes where I'm in the 2,000s. I've never made the 3,000 mark yet, but I hope to someday, obviously.
Yeah.
But it is nice to be able to receive that income during this time. And currently, I'm just working with my existing clients. I work primarily in residential. My market center is West Cobb, Marietta. I no longer live there. I live in Fayette County, right outside Peachtree City. The Peachtree City Market Center is a mere minutes from my home. I live in a development called Trilith. It's formerly known as Pinewood Forest. I live across the street from Pinewood Studios, or Trilith Studios now. So it's a different market. And so I haven't really established myself here at this point in time, and just working with my existing clients and their referrals. Presently, I am in the process of becoming a part of KW Commercial, as I have a commercial client. And that's taking an excruciatingly long process to get involved with that. And so that's what I'm doing right now. And, really trying to build my profit share tree, deep and wide, because I am a big believer in the passive income. And the part that I really enjoy the most about the recruitment process that we do for Bill is that
For you.
for us, for all of us, and is that I miss the interaction of kind of like the teaching process. Even though my students did not speak or barely spoke, it's still that teaching instinct, I guess you could say. And I really enjoy the conversations that I have with them. I treasure them. I learn something from every single person that I speak with. And I always let them know that, I don't get paid to, reach out to them. Recruitment is not my occupation. It is more of a passion. and I reach out to people purely because I miss that interaction of work, speaking with people and sharing. It's like the paying it forward concept,
Yeah.
letting them know that this is what Keller Williams did for me, and that I can do the, it can do the same thing for you. And that's usually where my conversations go with them, so they understand that, yes, I would appreciate if you made me as your sponsor if you join Keller Williams, when you join Keller Williams. But I do this because I truly embrace the conversations that I have.
I love that. Michelle, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. We've had a couple of people join us since we very first started. So I just want to take a minute. We've welcomed Priscilla. Priscilla has been helping for a little while. I'm going to give you a chance in one moment to introduce yourself. And Dee, Irish Dee, who has been a top producer out of the Woodstock office for a little while, and she is getting ready to, I think she's here to learn more about what we do, but I have a pretty good feeling she's going to come on board and jump right in. So she's going to be taking copious notes today. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of framework for today. And then we'll do 2 quick introductions, and then I want to just share a tiny bit about myself so you can kind of know what my vision for this is. And then we'll go into some kind of more like training, if you will, some more like, kind of where I had the most success, how what some of those dialogues look like, how I tracked things, all this kind of stuff. So I want to walk you through some of that. So Dee, why don't you go first? Who are you anyway?
I am Irish Dee. They adopted that name for me. I guess that's my name now. I came into real estate in 2017, November. I had a pretty monotonous job. I was actually an admin manager for a company, and I'd been there for 14 and a half years and was so bored. So it was time to move on. So I did my classes online in McKissick's, and after taking my exam, Bill reached out to me and got me into Keller Williams. It's the best move of my life. Seriously, it's the best move of my life so far.
That's why we do it, by the way.
Yes.
Why we do it.
Like when I started real estate, I was looking at you guys talking about your wants and bold and all this, and I was like, get over it. It's not happening. It's not. This year I bought an animal sanctuary. I've got a farm with 6.5 acres in Kenton and 3,000 square foot house. I've got my donkey, started my animal sanctuary, which is my dream in life. And that's all because of Keller Williams. I've done bold 4 times. I've done bold 100 probably 5 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So bold 100 now is not just getting 100 contacts. It's how quick I can get the 100 contacts, right? So yeah, I just love it. I love the atmosphere in Cherokee. Stephanie Nielsen is a great motivator, a great leader. And tomorrow I'm actually giving out a webinar to non-Keller agents for Brandy, who's the assistant team lead, about branding and value that you're adding to clients, because I think they're the 2 major that are I attribute my success to. So I'm doing that tomorrow, and in an effort to help build the market center there, and hence build my downline, which will help build through. So
beautiful.
So,
welcome,
guys. That'll be my first one. So yeah,
well,
I'm sorry I'm late, guys.
The first one is always great. The first one is always great. My first one came about a month after I came to Keller Williams as an old colleague of mine from my previous company. Then it was about a 2-year period of nothing. Then this woman called me. On another agent called on another listing that I had like 2 years ago, and she's like, "Oh, can I go see this property?" And I said, where are you seeing that it's available? That had sold like 2 years ago. And she's like, nobody's told me how to use this FMLS thing, right? And I said, let's go have coffee. And then she joined Keller Williams right away. And then I ended up having, I'll just jump right into my story for a second. Priscilla, we're coming back to you.
Bill, before you, so I'm gonna just leave any minute from now. I'm in clinic, so I have a patient
Okay,
right now. I
so-
just wanted to just show my face.
Priscilla, by the way, is the rock star of this little organization here. About 2 years ago, I put on a little contest for the person that could attract the most people to Keller Williams. I think it was like a 6-month period. It was like July to the end of the year. And I said, I'll buy the family reunion ticket for the person who sponsors the most people. Priscilla did that. So I am super grateful for you. You just want to take a moment to tell people who you are?
Yes, good morning. Sorry, I just
I'm
jumped
glad
the
you said
line.
that because I'll just keep going.
Yeah, I'm in clinic. I'm a medical doctor by profession, but I've been a real estate investor for so many years. I started in 2003 in New York. You know, I always love to learn whatever I'm doing, learn it very well so I can be a master, and you know, I can teach it. So I was investing. So I said to my husband, why invest if you don't understand what you're doing? So I decided to take a real estate over the weekend. It was a like super crash program over the weekend in New York at one hotel, got my real estate license. After that, I never worked for anybody. I just used it for investment. So I hung up my license, will be doing investing, but I knew what I was doing. So until I came to Georgia and, you know, I had an idle time that, at the time I said, let me go back to something I love doing. I did an online course for real estate and passed the test, and boom, Bill called me. I'm like, it wasn't a hard push for him because I was already investigating, reading up everything. And then he told me, I said, okay, I'll join. And then when he told me that, I'm like, that's pretty much me. So I had my business plan at the time. I wanted to do recruiting because I knew I was going to be busy with my job. So I said, okay, I'm going to give it all I got. I didn't even understand the contest in it. I didn't, it was down the road. I'm like, what do you even say you're doing at me? But I mean, I had my own plan. So I said, I'm going to do this so that down the line, it will be passive income and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I understood what Keller Williams had to offer. Luckily, Barbara Gaines was one of my people that I got initially. So I gave it my all. And however, I started on August 1. From August 1 till December, I had like 50
Yeah.
people under my downline, at the time. So, but
That's
Keller Williams
50.
Yeah, they didn't keep them, all of them, but at least right now I still have a sizable number. But I keep in touch with them and I still reach out. So
Yeah.
I'm still gainfully employed again, but in a nutshell, I don't want to. So I gotta run.
Yeah. Thank you so much. She's going to be a wealth of knowledge for us as we continue these sessions and continue to help one another. I want to try to get you guys to be a bit more active on our little Facebook group. Share things that share your successes, share your struggles. Let's all mastermind and help one another. We've got a lot of different experience from a lot of different offices around the city. And we all have a passion for helping people, or we wouldn't be on this call right now. And we also have a passion for KW. So thank you for sharing, Priscilla.
All right, thank you. If I have a minute, if I finish on, what time is this finishing?
12 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So I might not be able to come back. All right, take care. I'll talk to you back.
All right, no problem. And
Okay.
Faljuni, I believe, I don't believe we've met yet, but she is going to be helping with some recruiting efforts as well. Would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Oh my God, I don't know I have enough introduction or not about me. This is my second year in the KW. So we lived I was born and brought up in India, lived in Chicago for 22 years before we moved here in Georgia 2018. And I was in the middle of getting my license when I moved here. So I'm holding license for Illinois and Georgia. And joined KW through Priscilla. Priscilla called me, and that's how I got it. And yeah, so I don't know. how I did in the first year, but I did what I came on my way. I just helped and grab the opportunity that came first year and doing same thing now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, as I said or at the beginning, this is a group that my hope is that we can be a support network for each other in terms of helping buyers buy and sellers sell and attracting people to KW and developing our businesses and living a great life. You know what? I always talk about this idea of quality of life. That's kind of been my like ongoing theme from the very beginning. It is my opinion that basically every single person that I've ever talked to about real estate, and we're literally talking about thousands and thousands of people, they all got into the business for the same reason, which is to have a better quality of life. Okay. So if there was a moment that this person like had this epiphany that they were going to be a real estate agent, well, no matter what they like thought that meant, really, they paired that moment of clarity with some type of lifestyle, right? Whether it be like a lot of time with their family or vacationing or traveling or having a lot of money in the bank or whatever it meant to them, right? And at that moment, that's like the most clear that goal is. The problem is that there's a lot of time and a lot of stuff that's got to happen in between that moment of clarity and the time it happens. And there's a lot of directions you can go. There's a lot of relationships you can get into. And there's a lot of, let's say, less valuable relationships you could get into that might completely destroy the chance of that happening or cause you not to think the way you need to think, to act the way you need to act to get that stuff, right? And I've been at another brokerage before and I don't have anything negative to say about them. I'm just glad I'm here because I'm thinking differently now, right? I'll give you like a 10-second version of my story. I got licensed in 05, kind of got really going in 06. Never really knew a great market. I didn't want to wait any more tables, basically. And therefore, I did whatever I had to do. I mean, I could tell you some crazy stories if you want to hear them, but I just put my head down and I did what they told me to do. I made calls, I followed up with people, I learned what to say. I went on a lot of presentations. I screwed up a bunch, I succeeded a bunch, had a lot of fun, and became one of Metro Brokers' top agents. In 2000, let's see, middle of 2009, I was recruited to come to KW. Actually, I was recruited by a co-op agent that I did a deal with. They ultimately invited me to Mega Camp. I went to Austin, Mega Camp, ultimately came on board. That was 10 years ago Monday. Okay. Now, what ended up happening from that point is I started thinking like a business owner. I started acting like a business owner, right? I started embracing technology, right? Way before 4 years ago. I was involved in the Agent Leadership Council. I was constantly learning. I was trying to figure out how to be a better partner and a better leader and a better husband and a better father. And I was just working on myself nonstop. Ultimately grew a team. I went into the Ignite room one day about 8 years ago. And I tapped the instructor on the shoulder and I said, who's the smartest person in here? I need help. Bad. Who's the smartest person in here? And the instructor says, go talk to her. I grabbed Pam. I said, I'll give you anything you want. I heard you're the smartest person in the room. Let's work together. Right? And we've been in relationship ever since. And she's basically running my team right now. Hired a full-time assistant about 5 or 6 years ago. I was the growth chair of the Agent Leadership Council. We lost our assistant team leader. So I basically stepped in to get the leads. Took about 3 months before we hired an assistant team leader. By that 3-month period, I was really having a good time having those conversations. Yet the assistant team leader got the leads as you would expect. And so I had all this knowledge, but I didn't have anyone to share it with. So I said to myself, well, where am I going to get the leads from? Right. At that time, Craigslist was free. Not for like Manhattan and Houston and Dallas and San Francisco. The major cities still cost money, but the secondary cities like Louisville, Lexington, New Orleans, Bend, Oregon, these kind of cities did not charge. So we went in and we posted job ads, as my assistant and I posted job ads in every single city that KW had an office within 30 miles of for free. Even the tertiary cities like Las Cruces, New Mexico, or whatever, like all these places all across the country that had a local KW office and it was free to post, we posted it every day. We were posting in 89 cities for about a year straight. And I was spending almost my entire day dealing with incoming leads. Okay. I caught the bug and I still got the bug. Okay. Ultimately, Craigslist started charging. I got off of that. Meanwhile, I had built relationships with probably close to 100 team leaders and owners across the country because I'm going out of my way to support the growth of their market centers, right? So I got a chance to help a woman out of Virginia for close to a year. I called all the passers and failers in Virginia, got a bunch of people in Virginia as a result, got offered team leader jobs a few times, this kind of stuff. And ultimately found my niche with the passers list. So right now we are buying the passers list for the state of Georgia and the state of Illinois. So every day, my assistant logs on to these two websites and gets the names and mailing addresses of all the people that passed their test that day. There's in the neighborhood of around 10 to 20 people per day that passed their test. Okay. The name and number, we also sent postcards. I mean, we did all kinds of stuff. However, we really haven't done postcards in a while. We then signed up for another website that if you have their name and mailing address, you can generally get their telephone number. I would say about 90% of the time we get a telephone number, and probably around 60% of the time or so it's correct. But we were in the volume business, right? So I literally had like thousands of conversations with people, literally. I have personally attracted probably about 240 or so people to Keller Williams since I started this. And I was spending, as I got more and more interested in it, my buyer's agent was handling more and more of the sales business. Now, next thing that happened is I was offered the team leader role. I was the team leader in Roswell for a year and a half, and am now the productivity coach. Along the way, I was told something very interesting, and I want to make sure that you guys hear this loud and clear. I don't know what your desire for this is, but I was sitting in a young professionals KW meeting in Anaheim, I think, and Chris Heller said, the politics of Keller Williams is production, right? So you guys have probably seen that at your local market centers, right? The people who get the next level opportunity are the people who really do well on the one they currently have, right? And he also said people of opportunity goes to people who have influence. And he says there's only two ways, in my opinion, to show influence. One is your involvement in the ALC. Okay, we don't know how lucky we are to have an opportunity to either serve on the ALC or to serve on a committee of the ALC and have an influence in many of the decisions that are made at the company. No other company does that. Okay, when everything happened this summer, with the riots and George Floyd and all of that, we changed a 35-year-old belief system in like a month because it was agent driven, right? And we have the ability to say, hey, this is something that we believe strongly in. Let's make sure that it's represented in our what we share with the community and really how we behave on a local level as well. That's the first time, by the way, since the entire ALC was started 37 years ago, that anything has ever been voted unanimously. Did you know that? There's never been a unanimous vote until that. Okay. If you guys watched that on Mega Camp, it was like, kind of made me it was like the skin was tingling when I heard, Barbara, did you watch that by chance?
No, I did not watch that, but it is amazing that that happened. And
Yeah, there's
I'm
you
very
can probably
proud to be with a company that thinks that way.
you can watch it on KW Connect now, I believe. And it was like
Okay.
4 present, 4 in favor, 3 present, 3 in favor, 6 present, 6 in favor. It was just like, wow. Anyway, I was also offered an opportunity. The other thing of influence, by the way, is your downline, right? How influential are you? Well, let's see how much influence you've had in bringing somebody to Keller Williams. So I heard those two things and I said to myself, well, hell, I've been on the ALC every year I've been here. And so the only thing I need to figure out in order to get more opportunity is I need to figure out how to push hard on this profit share thing. And I've had, several mentors along the way. Aaron Kaufman and I are close friends, and I've been inspired and speak to him often. I'm very, very grateful for our relationship. And ultimately, I've gotten a couple cool opportunities. My wife and I are part owners of Keller Williams Israel. That came to me in part because of my influence, I have to imagine. So this company just has an unbelievable amount of opportunity. The way that you get access to that stuff is by expanding your influence and expanding your network, right? Who do you know and how can you continue to pour into as many people as possible? Okay. So here I am, and what I did was when I stepped into the team leader role, I sent a message to all the people in my downline and said, I can't do this anymore, right? My job is to grow Roswell, not everywhere. And I, said, who wants to help, right? And Michelle and Priscilla were really two of the first people that stood up, and they've had some pretty amazing results. And what we've done, as many of you know, is you just log on the day that you're assigned. You see the names and the numbers of the people who need to be called. We've already done all the work on the back end, and we've also texted the people. I'm still paying for the assistant to do all that. And I'm paying for all the subscriptions to get the data and subscriptions to get the list, and I'm happy to do so. It's a wise investment on my part. It's just one more example of the leverage concept that Keller Williams teaches us, right? How can we create a win-win, right? When Barbara attracts somebody to Keller Williams and she's named sponsor, I win too. Priscilla wins too, right? So is there anything I can do to help her? I hope she calls me if there is, because I will pick that phone call up immediately. See what I'm saying? Now, with that said, I want to give you guys a little bit of training, because what I'm noticing, if I can be completely transparent, is I would have expected there to be some additional sponsors or some additional people coming into the network, and so I want to recommit to mentorship and helping you guys with the language, with the system, with the tracking, whatever it takes to make sure that you have as great of results as possible. We had one woman who had to switch her schedule a little bit, so I took the leads myself on Tuesday, and I just had my first person sign up from Tuesday. So these leads are good, right? These are people that are like one moment away from decision time. Okay. So it's not like calling somebody who's, quote, curious about real estate that doesn't have any money and can't afford school, and you got to track them down for 6 months, which is what I was doing, or a year, 2 years, which is what I was doing. These are people that are ready to make a decision now. They just need to get in front of the right person, and it's a done deal. Make sense? So our system is putting you in touch with them at the perfect time. Does everyone follow that? All right, so let's do a little bit of, I want to kind of paint the picture of what these conversations should look like. And for Priscilla and Michelle and Barbara, who have had some experience doing this, hopefully some of this will sound familiar. Some of it will maybe add to be a compliment. You might hear some phrases or some comments that you might want to add, or it's totally up to you. When I would get on the telephone, the first thing I would do is basically say, hey, Michelle, This is Bill Linkwald. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I didn't necessarily need to put, I'm in Roswell. I didn't need to go there yet. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I wanted to congratulate you on just having passed your exam. By the way, we're recording this. I'll send it out to everyone. So if you don't catch every single word, you can go back and listen later. Michelle, congratulations on passing your real estate exam. And I would usually say like something to kind of get them to smile a little bit, like, now the fun part can start, or something like that, right? Because they just sat through 75 hours of boring stuff that's not going to help them at all, right? So usually they're like, yeah, it's the third time I took it and I'm finally done. Like they're really excited. And a lot of times you're the one that's calling them first because we're quick on this, right? So Michelle, congratulations on passing your exam. Now the fun part can start, right? So let me ask you a question or two. So where are you in the process of your research or your interviewing? Tell me a little bit about where you are in the process. Right. And they will say something to the effect of, oh, I haven't started, or, you're the first person that's called me, or something of that nature. Or they'll say, oh, my wife is a real estate agent. I'm on my way to the office to sign up. Okay, whatever. That's it. No big deal. Once they answer that question, then I might say something to the effect of, oh, by the way, have you ever had a conversation with anyone about Keller Williams before? Okay. The faster you can get that question out of your mouth, the more efficient it's going to be. Now, you don't want to push it, but you want to get that question answered quickly, because if they have a relationship with somebody at Keller Williams, meaning they've talked to somebody previously about Keller Williams, or they've met with somebody previously about Keller Williams, any of that, we have to do the right thing, right? Now, we could say, well, that person, you wouldn't want to name them, name me. That is not going to work, right? I don't want anything to do with people that are doing that. We got to be integrity first, right? So if somebody says, oh, my old friend is at Keller Williams, say, great. So let me ask you, do you happen to know how long, are they still at Keller Williams, or do you know how long they were there? Something, because what we're trying to do is figure out if they're vested, right? So if they say, oh, my friend was there for 3 months, but they don't work there anymore. Okay, so that's worth a couple more questions, because that person isn't eligible. So is there anyone else that you've ever spoken to about Keller Williams? Oh, no. Okay, great. So I'll help you understand why I'm calling here in just a minute, right? So I'll help them understand why I asked that question right off the bat. If they do have a relationship with somebody, then yes, we're in the process of, we like helping people, and we like answering questions and, that kind of thing. However, if I'm not going to be named the sponsor, I'm going to let somebody else have that conversation with them, right? So I'm just going to say, all right, Michelle, my recommendation is you reach out to your old neighbor who's with Keller Williams, let them know that you've passed the exam, and see if they can help introduce you to the local leadership, and I get off the phone as fast as I can. Okay. Now, and then I move on. I don't think about that person ever again. I mean, that sounds harsh, but that's not a prospect, right? So there's no follow-up necessary. Okay. If they say, no, I've never spoken with anyone about Keller Williams before, you say, great. So I have a couple of goals for our call today. It's kind of like a listing appointment. I've got 3 questions to ask you. Do you really want to sell this house? Are you willing to price the home to sell it? Do you want me to help you with the sale, right? It's like, you're just kind of setting the stage. You're setting a series of expectations. So what I'd love to do today is I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. I'd like to hear a little bit more about your goals and your experience and what brought you to real estate. I'd love to share some information about Keller Williams with you. And I'd love to help you understand why I'm the one you're speaking with. And then we'll talk about next steps. Does that sound good? Right? If they're in a hurry, then you might want to quickly get their email address and make sure their cell's right, obviously. And then say, if they're in a hurry or they try to get off the phone with you quickly, say, listen, I'd love to send you some information about Keller Williams. Let's just quickly find a day and time that we can schedule a Zoom or a phone call. And I'll get a chance to ask you some questions, get to know you a little bit better, share some information about Keller Williams, help you understand why I'm the one you're talking to. If you just want to watch these videos and read a couple articles about Keller Williams, that's what I'm going to send you by email. And let's connect again Thursday at 3 o'clock. Sound great? Great. Get off the phone and and then put it on your calendar and you're talking to them Thursday at 3 o'clock, right? But you want to make sure you get their email, because at this moment we don't have their email yet, right? Because now all we got is a cell phone and a name and an address. Okay. On the list of the spreadsheet that Luth puts together, Luth is my assistant, it has the local offices of like, hey, if somebody lives in, like, let's say Hampton, Georgia, or Cartersville, or, you know, Tyrone, Georgia, or something like that. I don't even know where that is, but I can quickly find out whether there's a local KW office or not. If the city was sent to you, it's because there's a local KW office. We just need to introduce you to the right person. Okay. Now, so I make that introduction, or I have that intro on the phone. I determine if they have a connection with somebody, and then I'll ask them, so Michelle, tell me a little bit about your background, right? Tell me a little bit about your goals, right? And they'll say, oh, I used to be a teacher. You know, I want to make $100,000. I want to work full time, you know, blah, 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 blah. Great. You're taking notes, etc. And then you might ask the question, so tell me a little bit about what you're looking for in a brokerage, right? What are your primary questions that you have when you're considering a brokerage? Okay, because if they say, well, I really care about the money, right? Or I really care about the technology, then you want to be able to have those conversations. If they don't care about the culture, you don't have to spend a ton of time talking about the culture, right? But if they talk about the technology, you better be well versed enough about our technology, you know, so that you can, you know, be influential in that topic. Okay. The vast majority of people are going to go in one of two directions. Okay. They're going to go down the money direction, and please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that's a bad direction, but it's just, it can be indicative of the fact that KW may not be a perfect place for them, right? Because KW is not the cheapest place out there, right? There are some people that, like, they're currently at ABC Realty because it costs $44 a month. If they could find a place that was $43.60 a month, they'd change. Okay, that's all they care about is the money. Okay, if that's the case, they're not going to like Keller Williams. Okay, so if all they want to talk about is the money, then you could decide if you want to give them the short script or not. Okay, but generally they're going to go down one of two directions: either money or training, culture, education, opportunity, growth, leadership, learning, right? Those are the magical words. That's what we love to hear, right? Because we want to be in business with learning-based, big thinkers, positive people that want to make contributions, that want to help people, right? Yeah, the money is fair. That's why we're all here. But we got an office full of 300 people that know how to sell homes. Why don't they all go to the cheapest place? Well, the reason they don't go to the cheapest place is because they get more value than it costs them to be there. Right? Make sense? So, so now I know what they're interested in. I know what their magic buttons are. Okay. So if they mention training or technology or culture, you know, some people might like to hear the story of Iowa, right? Des Moines, Iowa. You guys have probably heard me say that story before, where if you haven't looked into this, Google KW Des Moines. Okay. It's a really interesting story about culture. Keller Williams came into Des Moines, Iowa about 6 years ago. Dee, have you heard this story? Oh man, they should tell this more often. Keller Williams came into Des Moines. There was the big company in Des Moines was called Iowa Realty. Iowa Realty is now part of Berkshire Hathaway. They had 50% market share. No one has 50%. You've never seen a place with 50% market share. Okay, Iowa Realty guys were all on the local boards and commissions. It was a big thing. Okay, Keller Williams came to town. They freaked out, and they started a new policy that said they would pay it on Iowa Realty listings. Remember, 50% market share. They would pay the buyer's agent, if they were a KW buyer's agent, $1 in commission. $1. Could you work for $1? I don't know. That would be tough. That would be tough. Okay. So for 3 years almost, Keller Williams agents got paid $1 to bring their buyers to Iowa Realty listings. Okay, $1. Mo Anderson caught wind of this and stood up in, I think it was New Orleans that year, and said, hey, let me tell you all about this. We're raising money to make all our agents whole. They raised over $100,000 in literally 30 seconds. It was one of the most amazing things to witness. Okay, they raised over like $3 million by the end of it all, to repay our agents back full commissions on every single transaction. There was dollars coming in from agents all across the country to make our agents whole. They now have 3 offices built mostly on the backs of Iowa Realty agents who saw what we did and how we reacted and left, right? And then they got rid of that ridiculous policy. Okay, so there's stories of culture everywhere, right? So start to familiarize yourself with some of these ideas, right? Could you explain command to somebody, right? Could you explain what a tech-enabled agent is versus an agent-enabled tech, right? I'm not saying you have to know everything, but you should be able to have a serious conversation with people, right? Particularly around what's important to them, right? So, because remember, it's generally about quality of life, right? How can I equip this person with the tools and the training and the mindset they need to go get the quality of life that they're seeking, right? So a lot of that conversation goes into, I say that there's basically 2 things you got to figure out to get to high quality life. The first is you better take control of the lead flow. Okay. If you don't take control of the lead flow and you would prefer to be in the lead receiving game rather than the lead generating game, you will never be able to dictate your income, ever. You can say all day long you want to make $100,000, but if your next question is where are my leads, that's a disconnect. Okay, you've got to go out and secure the business yourself. We teach you how to fish. Other brokerages will sell you the fish. Okay, and it's a profit center. Does that make sense? Now, the next thing that you got to figure out once you've controlled the lead flow is if you do what they say you need to do, you're gonna wake up one morning and say, I'm slammed. Okay, I got 4 appointments here, 3 appointments here. I got to drop this off, look this up, send this off, connect these people, blah, 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 blah. And D, you're probably experiencing this a little bit right now. And you're like, what am I supposed to do? Right? Well, at that moment, you basically have 3 choices. Okay. In my personal experience, I found that right around the $125,000 to $150,000 GCI neighborhood is where I experienced this. Okay. That's in the neighborhood of where you are, right, D? So yeah, it's not uncommon, right? So what you end up, you have 3 options really. Number 1, you can stay. By the way, these are the scripts and dialogues, right? It's just getting you comfortable with some of these ideas. You can stay exactly where you're at, right? And have a super high stress, pretty good income, not a lot of quality of life. And a lot of agents, unfortunately, who aren't in business with people that talk about business, they take pride in like the fact that in a really crazy way, in my opinion, well, I am a real estate agent, so I work every night and every weekend, and I can't remember the last vacation I took, and aren't you proud of me? As if that's like impressive. No, I'm not impressed at all. Okay. What you're telling me is no one in the world, no one is in your world that's teaching you how to run a business properly. You should be ashamed of yourself. Okay. So that's one place you could go. You could also retreat back to where you were making good money, but had less stress. Let's say maybe $75,000. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying we all know that we're capable of more, right? Or you can say, well, I think I'll just get some help, right? And you use the models and the systems and the training of Keller Williams to grow, right? I tell you, there are no other companies that are talking about business building, okay? Because if they did, they would all leave because they're like, no one here's got a team. No one here's got an assistant. No one here's growing. No one here's, listen to podcasts and thinking big and got a coach and all this kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So once you figure out how to control the lead flow and you figure out how to grow, you can have anything you want in life. But if you can't control the lead flow, then you're just not going to make it. Okay. Or you're going to get whatever the person that controls the lead flow decides to give you. Right. And then you better figure out how to leverage yourself. One of the greatest parts about Keller Williams, by the way, is that there's leverage in so many different places. For example, I can attract somebody. I mean, let's use Michelle as an example. Okay, so 2-3 years ago, I had a conversation with Michelle. I teach her all about Keller Williams. I introduced her to Aaron, who's the team leader at West Cobb, and basically that is a leverage point, because we are lucky to be part of a franchise organization where every office you walk into has got a director of first impressions. They got an MCA, they've got Ignite, they've got Bold, they've got all the tools, they have access to the tech, right? They're getting the message from Gary, right? They've got all the MREA models. They have the training in place. They have a broker on site, all that kind of stuff. So Michelle doesn't have to rely on me to teach her how to sell homes. I can lean and she can lean on the infrastructure in West Cobb. Right? Now that doesn't mean I say, okay, Michelle, it's LINKWALD, have a nice life, right? Just make sure you get that sponsorship form filled out properly. Make sure there's no misspellings there. And then I'll see you next, never. Okay. It's, you're following up. Hey, how'd your meeting go? What was your favorite part? Do you have any questions? What can I do to help you? Right? After they join, you say, hey, how you doing? Checking in. Hey, want to come to this class? Hey, you going to mega camp? Blah, blah, blah. If Michelle is not getting what she wants in her local business, then she's not going to stick around. Right? So it's up to a lot of people to make sure Michelle gets what she wants, including me. Okay. I technically don't have any obligation to help her. That's the role of Keller Williams and the role of her. However, it's in my best interest to make sure she's happy. Y'all follow that? All right, beautiful. So now I know that this person, what their magic buttons are. I would usually have a couple of stats right off the bat that I explained Keller Williams with. Keller Williams is the #1 training organization in the world. We're the #1 company for work-life balance. We are one of the top companies for women. We're the top companies for veterans, right? We're the #1 thing for so many different things. Okay, so #1 training organization in the world across all industries. We're in the Training Magazine's Hall of Fame. Okay, most likely they want training. You can't beat #1. Okay, right? So next topic I would say is we are the #1 company in the world, real estate brokerage by agent count. Now, you might say, who cares? Well, I think that's a big deal. Okay, it's a big deal because basically their job right now is to try to figure out who the best partner is going to be for their real estate needs. And what that means is they're going to go from firm to firm to firm and try to figure out, hey, tell me about your training, your technology, your culture. What do you believe in? How does the money work? Company 2, same questions. Company 3, same questions. So if we are #1, 2 things had to happen. First is we had to attract more people than anyone. So that speaks to the appeal of the value proposition, right, in comparison to the other firms. And secondly, we got to execute on it, right? Because if I show you this shiny, bright, colorful flyer that says we do all this stuff and you show up and none of it's true, you're not going to stick around, right? Because what you're thinking is you got that quality of life kind of meter going off in your head. Hey, is this the best place for quality of life? I just want to double check because you guys are starting to let me down. I think I might go check out Remax or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So it's our job as leaders to make sure that our people are having fun. And what we know is that an agent generally only leaves a company for 2 reasons. 1 is they're not making any money. And 2 is they lost their friend or they never had a friend, meaning they didn't have like a support system, right? There was a lack of culture, right? So I say, look, the value proposition is appealing and we're executing on it. If I add 10 agents and I lose 10 agents, no one grows. You definitely don't become #1. So that's a testament to the appeal of the value proposition and the execution of the value proposition. Okay, I might have a conversation about technology, right? Let me explain to you why it's important that we're in the data game. Let me give you an example of an insight that we can get from Command, right? Let me give you an idea of the fact that we just gave out our 2 millionth lead at an average cost of $1.87 in Command, where the average online lead is about $55 a lead. Okay. So can you share a personal story about that? This is also your moment to maybe share one of your stories. Hey, I came to Keller Williams and this is what happened, right? I engaged in Bold, I engaged in Ignite, I engaged with the Agent Leadership Council. I have a great relationship with my team leader, and I started at nothing, and now I make well over 6 figures. It's not about like tooting your horn. It's just helping them understand that it's possible, right? Because deep down, they've got a fear that it may not be possible. And we need to give them the confidence that it is. However, I kind of make the joke sometimes, say, look, if you go ask Mel at the front desk, Melody, you say, hey, where are all the people making money having fun? And you go do the stuff that those people do, there is almost no way you're not going to make money and have fun. But if you don't do that stuff, I can't make you any promises, right? So somebody says, well, do I have to cold call anyone? Say, as a matter of fact, you don't have to do anything. Okay, that's a very easy, low-paying job. Okay, and it's a pretty hard, high-paying job. So let me ask you, you don't want to cold call anyone? That's fine. Let me ask you another question. Is what you're currently doing to book appointments and hold appointments, is it currently giving you enough appointments? And are you converting those appointments at a high enough percentage that you're getting what you want financially? And if the answer to that is no, well, something's got to change, right? If your business plan says you need 40 appointments a year and you have 7, well, you might want to consider doing some cold calling, or you're going to be needing another job. Does it make sense? All right, beautiful. The next thing is why me? Okay, why me? I'll try to wrap this up super fast. And there'll be more time for this stuff. So, hey, I want to help you understand, Michelle, why I'm the one calling. Okay, Keller Williams has a really unique feature called profit share. Okay, so let me help you understand what profit share is all about. In a normal franchise system, what happens is the agent pays in their 30% or whatever it is, and the organization pays the bills, and whatever money is left over is profit. That money goes to the ownership. That's the end of the discussion. Nothing funny going on there. That's how your typical business works. However, at Keller Williams, we have an incentive to help grow Keller Williams. And therefore, what ends up happening is the money is used to pay the expenses that come in as the receivables. And then the money that's left over, a little over half of that money goes to the investment group. And about 48% of that money is distributed through the profit sharing pool. So Michelle, when you come to Keller Williams, right, assumptive, when you come to Keller Williams, they're going to ask you a question: who was the person most influential in your decision to join? And you're going to name that person. That person's going to be called your sponsor. Then I will tie it right back to the beginning of the call where I said, by the way, that's why I asked you if you had a relationship with anyone. Because if you had a relationship with somebody, then I would have, I want to do the right thing. I want to offer to connect you with that person, or let you know that that's what you should be doing, and encourage you to move forward with Keller Williams with the assistance of this other person. If you don't have a relationship with Keller Williams, that's one of the roles that I'd like to, that's an honor I'd like to take on, right? More than happy to walk you through the process, introduce you to local leadership, and I take that really seriously, and I'm here to help however I possibly can. So I connect the dots there for them. Okay, so the greatest thing about profit share, you can talk about passive income, and we had 3 agents in our office last year, for example, that made over $50,000 in profit share in a year. We have about 6 or so agents at the office that are in what we call the 100% club, which is they get paid more than $18,000 to be at Keller. They get more than $18,000 a year in profit share, and therefore it pays for their cap. Basically, Keller Williams is paying them to be there, right? So then I would say, you know, the money is great, but it's not even the best part. The best part is because the owners and the agents have a vested interest in each other's success, right? Agents are more likely to teach classes, share ideas, hold masterminds, help one another. I'm not saying that other brokerages don't have nice, friendly people. I'm simply saying there's not a financial incentive for it. Okay. Don't you think it would be helpful to have a lot of helpful people around you as you're building this business? Well, of course, great. So you tie the loose ends with profit share. They don't need the 7th level gets this, 6th level gets that. You don't have to go there. Just generalized conversation here. Basically, you're doing is it's probably about a 30-minute conversation. You're trying to learn about them, help them learn about you, help them understand KW is a great place and you're related to it all. And then the next steps, by the way, and Michelle, the next step is I'd love to introduce you to the local Keller Williams team leader. Would that be okay? Right? And then I would call the team leader and I'd say, hey, this woman, Michelle Kelly, just passed a real estate exam. Here's her information. Would you reach out to her and book an appointment? She's ready to meet with you. Okay. And the team leaders do their best to honor the sponsorship. And you, as it's like a referral, right? You're not going to just throw a referral at them and say, hopefully this works out. You're going to check in with them periodically. You're going to find out, hey, did you meet with them? How did it go? Any questions? What can I do? And the next thing you know, you've been named a sponsor. Okay. And then I was tracking everything from, you know, if you get that spreadsheet and it's got names and numbers, it's like if I had spoken to them, they became a yellow. If I knew they met with a team leader, then they became orange. If they joined Keller Williams, they became red. If I needed to call them back, then they were blue or whatever. Like I had a system where I or my assistant could look at that page and say, who do I need to reach out to today? Who do I need to follow up with, right? And I'd have these sheets of paper. So for example, I'd have, this is how antiquated I am sometimes, name, number, email, notes about our conversation, which office I set them up with, and when I should call them next. And I had a stack of these on my desk, right? I don't care whether you put them in command on smart plans or whatever, you just want to make sure that you don't let things fall through the cracks, okay? What I would love to do is, first of all, everyone should know that I have a Facebook group just for people in my downline. So please join it if you're not already a part of it. I've sent out a message. You can send me a message directly if you need the link. It's called Linkwald Family Profit Share Tree. Please invite those that you might have been fortunate enough to attract. I'd love to help them as well. What I'd like to do is just continue our process, right? And next time we get together, I can share a little bit of information about building relationships with agents that are not brand new, right? So I'll give you an example. We got, Gene Rivers, for example, is doing a listing clinic for us in like a month, okay? Why can't you just call a bunch of top producers and say, hey, I wanted to invite you to this listing clinic? It's free. And then you can set them up with the team leader after the thing. I invited like literally 25 something people to Mega Camp. Okay. And a number of them have joined because they experienced something they've never experienced before. Right. So I do have a call that's coming up now. What I'd love to do, I've got a little WhatsApp group. I believe all of us are on it right now. Please feel free to ask questions or share ideas or celebrate successes. I am more than happy to help however I can. Clearly, if somebody is interested in Roswell, I'd be more than happy to speak to them. If you're having any challenges in your profit share goals or efforts, I'd love to help. If you're having any issues that I can help you with from a business standpoint, I most likely have been in that situation before and can offer my assistance. I'm more than happy to do that too. And I just want to make sure that everyone heard me loud and clear that I'm just incredibly grateful for every minute of effort that you've put into your business and to your building of your downline. And nothing makes me happier than watching you guys see the results of all these activities. Priscilla, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I just had, while on this call, somebody called in, some of the people that passed last week. I couldn't reach them. There was no number. So just to tell you, you can send a snail mail. So I sent a snail mail. 2 of them have since responded.
Yeah.
So this guy lives in Marietta, Georgia. So 30062. So it might be around who. Erin Wilson, is she in your market center?
She's in my
Evelyn-
market center.
Okay, so
Oh,
okay,
Erin
so I'm
Wilson. Yeah,
trying. So this guy is in Marietta. So I'm trying to refer him to. He hasn't made up his mind which one. I just spoke to him while we're on this call. To any of the market centers in Marietta. So if you want me to give you his name, you can call him, Bill.
Oh no, you call. You set them up.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm
good.
sending him to
Go-
Jim Alexander and Erin Wilson. Hopefully.
Go call Erin and tell her who you are. She needs to know who you are.
Oh yeah. I talk to them all the time.
1 second. Oh, good to see you. Yeah, you go get that one. I mean, I'll take it, but there's no reason why you shouldn't take it. Erin's awesome. She'll close them in 2 seconds. She's one of the best.
All right.
All right, you guys. Thank you for your time. Like I said, it's an honor to work with you. I love what I do, and I love helping you guys. And let this be the first of many sessions together of growth and success. And I'm super grateful. Every month on the 21st of the month, I have a big smile, and you guys are a big part of that. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, take care now. Bye.